So the time is now. I put the names in the hat. So which classic WCW Halloween Havoc pay-per-view to review? So I'm gonna shoot the hat up. So let's get. Yep, got one. So it's hard to unwrap it and holding the camera at the same time. Oh, it's okay. Halloween Havoc 96. Most memorable for the debut of Rowdy Roddy Piper in WCW. The second half of 1996 in WCW was really the best year for the company. It was really the start of their boom period for the company because of the NWO, the rise of the Cruiserweights, and Nitro regularly defeating Monday Night Raw in the ratings war in the regular basis. So the last 1996 WCW pay-per-view I reviewed was Hog Wild 96. So I'm traveling 2 months into the future. I'm going to review WCW Halloween Havoc 1996 at the NGN Grand Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada on the 27th of October 1996. The attendance for the show was 10,000 and the pay-per-view buy rate for the show is a 250,000 pay-per-view buys, a massive upgrade than the 1995 Halloween Havoc show. I covered that show weeks ago. That show was a drizzling shitstorm of a pay-per-view, and that pay-per-view got about 120,000 pay-per-view buys. This Halloween Havoc is memorable for the debut of Rowdy Roddy Piper. I'll talk about it later on in this review. This is the first Halloween Havoc at the NGN Grand. They'll do their remaining Halloween Havoc shows at the same arena. The last one was in 2000. The commentators for the show are Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, Mike Tenay, and Dusty Rhodes. Tenay already does like the Cruiserweight matches, and speaking of the Cruiserweights, they kicked off this show. You got Rey Mysterio defended the Cruiserweight Championship against Dean Malenko, represented the Four Horsemen. Mysterio defeated Malenko for the championship on the July episode of Nitro. They had the series of matches. Recently, Malenko stole the mask of Rey Mysterio. It was a green mask. He entered this match on the show wearing a black mask. And during this match, Mysterio hit like a springboard plancha off the ropes outside the ring onto Malenko. He retrieved the green mask. He took off the black mask, put on the green mask. Every time I do this paper reviews in this timeline, the Monday Night Wars era of WCW, this is the golden period of Cruiserweight wrestling in that company. You know, the golden years for WCW for the Cruiserweights has to be 96, 97, and 98. 99 was, their form kind of dipped, and 2000 is the drizzling shit. I put this match in the great category. It was a great match. It was back and forth between Mysterio and Malenko. Both styles are completely different because Mysterio is a luchador. Malenko, is mat floor wrestling, grappling style wrestling, and that's the Malenko's style of wrestling. It was back and forth. In the end, Malenko hit Mysterio with a gut wrench powerbomb. Will be the future finisher for Jack Swagger. Right now he's Jake Hager in AEW. To win this match, and Malenko regains the Cruiserweight Championship. I think he won it for the second time in his WCW career. And I think he'll drop the title 2 months later to the Ultimo Dragon at Starrcade. I covered that show months ago. And then he regained the title back. I think it was at the Clash of the Champions 34 show. Anyway, so it was a great match to kick off the pay-per-view. The second match, we got Diamond Dallas Page, or DDP for short, taking on Eddie Guerrero. This is for the Lord of the Rings ring. So here's the backstory. DDP won a Battle Royal at Slamboree of that year. I think they call it the Battle Ball Battle Royal. So he got the they kind of getting this ring over. They call it the Lord of the Rings ring, not the ring from the movie Lord of the Rings. That'll be like 5 years into the future, you know, before after WCW was went out of business. So they're trying to build it. It's trying to be their version of King of the Ring. I don't know. So basically, this is the start of the feud between Miss DDP and Eddie Guerrero. You know, recently Guerrero defeat DDP for that ring. I think he challenged Jim Duggan for that same ring. That was at Bash at the Beach of that same year. Anyway, so this is for the ring. And this match was good. A solid match between DDP and Eddie Guerrero. I like this. I like this typical big versus small matches because Eddie Guerrero is a luchador. You know, I don't really call it a luchador because he doesn't really wear a mask, but he's a high flyer. DDP is also a good worker. They kind of gelled very well. In the end, DDP hit the Diamond Cutter onto Eddie Guerrero to win this match and regain the Battle Ball ring, or the Lord of the Rings ring. He was kind of heelish, you know, he was a heel. He was getting in the face of Nick Patrick. It's not the last time we see Nick Patrick on the show. Anyway, so DDP won this match, regains the ring. I don't think they do. Yeah, they're trying to get this ring concept over. I think they flopped. I don't want to get into it, but anyway, they'll fight again at Starrcade for the United States title. Like I said, go and watch my Starrcade 96 review, man. You know, that is a good show. Anyway, moving on to the next match. The next match is not so much than the previous two matches on the show. We got the Giant versus Jeff Jarrett. The Giant is part of the NWO. He's holding the United States Championship belt. I've done my research that the original match, it was supposed to be Ric Flair versus the Giant for the United States Championship. Unfortunately, Ric Flair suffered an injury. I'm guessing he faked the title. I don't know why the Giant's holding the belt. I'm guessing like Flair and Giant have like a recent rivalry to build up this show. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen because Flair is injured. Basically, yeah, Ted DiBiase Sr., you know, I think he's called Billionaire Ted at the time in WCW, basically called promo, and every time an NWO member is basically, they came down to the crowd into the ring. Anyway, the match sucked. It's not like, this is not on the same level as the previous match between DDP and Eddie Guerrero. The match sucked, you know, like some bulks of the match, you had Giant working on the back of Jeff Jarrett. At this point, Jeff Jarrett, I don't think he was officially member of the Horsemen, but he's kind of like the satellite member of the Horsemen. Anyway, Jeff Jarrett was doing the whole country gimmick thing. He's been doing it since the when he was part in the WWF. He kind of ditched it years later. Anyway, in the end, Jarrett locked the Giant with the figure four leg lock. And by the way, Ric Flair was in Jeff Jarrett's corner. And Flair, in the end, kind of low blow the Giant. And Jeff Jarrett won this match. Unfortunately, the title's not on the line because, like I said, the Giant is not the champion. Flair was the champion. I think like months later, not months, but a month later, they faked the title. And they crowned the new champion at Starrcade that Eddie Guerrero won. Yeah, and then they set up the ladder match as sold out between Eddie Guerrero and Syxx. And speaking of Syxx, Syxx was in the next match with Chris Jericho. The match was good. I think this is a way better match than the match they had in 1999 at Unforgiven. You know, that was Chris Jericho's first pay-per-view match for the World Wrestling Federation because that match ended in a DQ. Sorry. The match was good. The storyline in this match has to be the referee, Nick Patrick. He was slowly becoming biased, and you later on become the NWO referee. Every time Jericho was trying to pin Syxx, you know, Syxx is, you know, that's X-Pac, you know, Sean Waltman. He always do like a slow 3 count, and he's teasing like he's injured his neck. He's wearing this neck cast throughout the whole show. I think he got injured in kayfabe. In the end, I'm gonna keep it short. Anyway, Syxx hits Jericho with the I think it's a spinning heel kick to win this match. Yeah, the last 2 matches is basically, you know, WCW versus NWO because that's the big storyline. You know, because the NWO is running wild. It's caution rush shots to the WCW locker room. So yeah, the match was decent. Could be a lot better, but I think they had better matches in '99 and also in 2000 in the World Wrestling Federation. Jericho was a babyface. His theme music was shit. He'll be a heel later on in 1998. Anyway, moving on to the next match. The next match, we got Lex Luger versus Arn Anderson, Double A, the Battle of the Horsemen. At this point, Luger's not part of the Horsemen. I think he was part of the Horsemen because the really fellow members of the Horsemen. I feel like the storyline is that Luger cost the Horsemen their match against the NWO, the War Kings match at Fall Brawl, the previous month's pay-per-view. So this is set up this match between Lex Luger and Arn Anderson. At this point, Arn Anderson was really past his best because done my research that he entered this match with a neck injury, and his injury and his body starting to take his toll. And people giving it 1 star. Every time I see a lot of reviews of this show, they're giving this match 1 star. I don't really give it a 1-star match. It wasn't really a bad match. It was basically an okay match. He has some offense on Anderson. In the end, he was going like a DDP. He's trying to go for a DDT off, really outside the ring onto the floor, but I think Luger countered it with a slingshot into the ring post. That was a shit-looking slingshot shot by Lex Luger. The referee took a bump, and Luger hit Arn Anderson with 3 chair shots to the back. In the end, he hit the lock. He locked in the torture rack onto Arn Anderson. Lex Luger won this match, and then the referees and the paramedics kind of carried Double A out of the arena off onto the stretcher. And this was Arn Anderson's final match as a pro wrestler. He kind of came out of retirement in 2000. That will be his final match in 2000. But this was because at this point he was not wrestling. He showed up in WCW television on a regular basis, but he was not wrestling because his body started breaking down. And in '97 he had the neck injury, and he'll be in and his replacement was Mr. Perfect. If I will review Fall Brawl '97, that will be in the near future. I'll explain more. Anyway, the match was okay. Could be a lot better. Like I said, Arn Anderson, he was kind of past his prime. Luger is same age, but he's okay, Luger. But anyway, moving on to the next match. Anyway, the next match, we got the Faces of Fear represent the Dungeon of Doom. That is Ming and Barbarian taking on the 2 members of the 4 Horsemen. That is Chris Benoit and Mongo. That Mongo is Steve McMichael. Match was okay. Like, free workers are shit. Mongo is shit. Meng is shit. Meng's better off facing like normal sized wrestlers like Stings. But his previous matches on this segment with Meng's matches are shit. Every time I review pay-per-views and nitros with matches with Jim Duggan and Luger, he's not that good. But I don't know about Barbarian. I think he is shit. Mongo, yeah, he was not that good in this match. With Benoit kind of carried 3 wrestlers to an okay match. In the end, Mongo hit, I think it was Mango Barbarian with the briefcase. Benoit hit the flying headbutt to win this match for the Horsemen. And then, like, during this match, you had 3 really members of the Dungeon of Doom watching this match. You had Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan, Conan. I'm guessing that was Big Bubba. Big Bubba is Big Boss Man or Scott Norton. Norton will be joining the NWO, months later. Anyway, afterwards, the Dungeon of Doom beat down the Horsemen, beat down Benoit and Mongo. In Benoit and Mongo's corner, you had Woman, that is Nancy Benoit, and also Deborah McMichael. And also Deborah will be later on Steve Austin's wife. And I think at this point, they were kind of like feuding, because after this fiasco in that dungeon, the Doomsday Cage match at Uncensored between the Allied powers, that is Hogan and Savage, taking on the Alliance to destroy Hulkamania, the Dungeon of Doom stick around. the rest of '96, the rest of their existence. Like I said, the end of that group, it was disbanded after Bash of the Beach '97 in that match between Benoit and Kevin Sullivan. I reviewed Bash of the Beach '97 way back in August, so check it out. Anyway, I don't know why they continue to do that. They should have ended it after Uncensored, but they kind of shoved it down my throat. Like I say, it's a faction warfare at the time in WCW. You had the NWO, the Four Horsemen, and the Dungeon of Doom. The next match is for the WCW Tag Team Championships. We got Holland Heat, that is Booker T and Stevie Ray, with Sister Sherry, aka Sensational Sherry, and Colonel Robert Parker in their corner. They defended the belts against the Outsiders, that is Scott Hall and Kevin Nash of the NWO. This match is surprisingly a decent match. I thought it was going to be boring and bad, but it wasn't boring. It was a bit boring, but it wasn't a bad match. They wrestled a good match. In the end, you had Scott Hall making out with Sherry. Sherry distracted the referee. Parker was going to hit Hall with the cane, but he got stopped by Kevin Nash. Nash swiped the cane, hit Stevie Ray with the cane. Hall pinned Stevie Ray, and the Outsiders become the tag team champions for the very first time. I think it was a good idea to do the title change because the biggest story at the time for WCW was the NWO. They just added the tag team titles in the NWO cabinet because Hogan at the time was the world champion. I'll get to Hogan in a little bit shortly. They rechristened the tag team belts as the NWO Tag Team Championships. They hold the belts until January because they dropped the belts to the Steiners at Sold Out. And then 3 nights later they regained the belts, hold the title belts for until of October of the following year, back to the Steiners. That's another story for another time. So moving on to the main event. The main event, we got Hulk Hogan defending the NWO World Heavyweight Championship against Macho Man Randy Savage. The reason why I say the NWO World Heavyweight Championship because at Hog Wild, Hogan defeated the Giant to win the world title for the second time, rechristened the world title as the NWO World Title, and spray paint the world title belt in the process. So this is the first match between Hogan and Savage for 7 years. The last match they had was way back at WrestleMania 5 in 1989. So in the summer of that year of 1996, Hogan turned heel, revealed as the third man in that main event at Bash at the Beach, formation of the NWO, because Hogan leg dropped Savage. In kayfabe wise, I'm guessing surprisingly, Savage gets a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. So the build up to this, you had Miss Elizabeth joining the NWO. She was not heelish. She was still as the babyface because she cares about Randy Savage. Because if you don't know, Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth were were married in real life. Yeah, they got divorced way back in, I think it was 96 or 97. No, they got divorced in 92, sorry, my bad. Anyway, so before the start of this match, Hogan was wearing a wig. Why Hogan is wearing a wig? He's basically promoting his movie called, Santa with Muscles, that didn't do well in the box office. It had, I think it had Mila Kunis in it. The actress played Meg from Family Guy. Anyway, so he called Savage a long-lost puppy. And during this match, he basically had the cut scenes to a Randy Savage's truck. I think it was 1 year after the monster truck match at the 1995 Halloween Havoc show. I don't want to get into it, but anyway, the match between Savage and Hogan, it's not on the same level as the previous match at WrestleMania 5, but it was there for the storytelling, the star power. The funny part is that Savage swiped the sunglasses and the wig of Hulk Hogan, and then minutes later, Hogan basically kissed the bald spot of Randy Savage, and also smacked him in the back of the head. In some moments of the match, you had Hogan putting Miss Elizabeth in harm's way. Minutes later, you had Hogan is trying to hit Savage with a foreign object,
Miss Elizabeth swiped the foreign object. Yeah, the object kind of used in this match. Savage used the foreign object. I think he hit Hogan with the elbow drop, his finisher. And then all of a sudden you got Nick Patrick, the crooked referee. He's about to do the 3 count, and once again he's teasing like he injured his neck. Like I said, he'll become the official member of the NWO. He'll become their own referee. Yeah, I like Nick Patrick's role. I think he did well. I think at the time ECW was doing the same thing with Bel Alfonso. In the end, you had Savage beat down Billionaire Ted. That is Ted DiBiase Sr. In the end, the Giant just chokeslammed Savage on the floor, put him back in the ring. Hogan pins Savage, and Hogan retains the NWO/WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And then afterwards, we got the debut of Roddy Piper in WCW, because he didn't do much in the WWF in the early to mid 90s. His last appearance in the World Wrestling Federation was at WrestleMania 12 in the street fight with Goldust. He said about who is the star of power. He brought up about you never defeat me, and he kind of took shots at the Giants. He did like a Green Giant sweet corn reference, called him Sprout, and it's basically setting up the match at Starrcade, and that was okay. It was just a so-and-so match, because at this point, this match and the match between Hogan and Piper, because that match was not for the title, it was just so-and-so, because they cannot wrestle a really good match because they're past their best. Adding Roddy Piper to the WCW roster was a big deal at the time. It just brings more of that star power feeling to WCW's product, because you got Hogan, Savage, Sting, Luger, Flair, Hall, Nash, and now Piper, because on the WWF side, their roster is so downgraded. The top 3 in that company was Brett, Michaels, Taker, and yeah, you got some upcoming stars like your Triple H, your Steve Austins, your Mankind's, and then 1 month later, The Rock. Their boom period will begin in 1997. So my final rating for Halloween Havoc 1996 is an 8 out of 10. A massive upgrade than the previous year's Halloween Havoc show. It started out well and ended well with the debut of Roddy Piper. The opener, the match between Mysterio versus Malenko for the Cruiserweight Championship, that was a solid match. Same as DDP versus Eddie Guerrero. The tag team title match between Hall and Heat versus the Outsiders, that was a decent good match. The same as Six versus Jericho. They were okay, like Lex Luger versus Double A, because Double A cannot work anymore. And the same as the tag team match between Mongo and Benoit versus the Faces of Fear, that is Meng and Barbarian. The only bad match on the show has to be Giant versus Jarrett. It was just a shit match. So, I hope you enjoyed my review of WCW Halloween Havoc 1996. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, smash the like button, and subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. And this is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later. Halloween Havoc 1996, it ended with a thumbs up.